Hi, this is Derek from Appingo, and in this video we'll talk about how to adjust your schedules during a production. Color-coded tasks. The Appingo system uses a color coding system to communicate to you the status of any task or schedule. So here on my summary page you can see I've got some different colors going on, and we'll look at this in more detail if we go to one of our projects and one of our schedules here. So here's a schedule. You'll notice that down the bottom here there's a key for the color codes. Gray means the task is completed, so you look up here, there's a couple tasks in this schedule that have already been completed, so they're grayed out. The rest of the schedule here is blue, which means all these tasks are scheduled and on time. And if you look at this review art task, you'll notice this black bar on the left side. That means that task has been started. An orange task means it's in danger of starting late, and a red task means the task has officially or is officially late. So we can look at that if we go to one of our projects. I think we have some lates. So yeah, if we look at this book here, we'll notice that this first task was scheduled to start on the 3rd. Today's the 6th, so it's red, it's late. And because that's late, all these other tasks that are dependent on it are in danger of being late. The rest of my schedule here is blue, however, because there's a fudge day built into the schedule, allowing these tasks to remain on time and on schedule while everything else is in danger of being late. So that's the way that the Appingo system uses colors to communicate the status of your project. Adjusting a task during production. Appingo understands that no production goes as it's originally planned. So we've given you a lot of flexibility and some tools to adjust tasks on the fly in the heat of production. To do that, there's a couple ways. First thing you can do is you can click on the task and go to its specific task page, pull down this alter box, and you can do a lot of things. If I want to grow the task, that means this task is scheduled to last 4 days. I can grow it and make it last 5 days. I can grow it by 5 days. I can shrink it and make it last 3 days, or I can shrink it by 5 days. I can also move the task earlier. So this task is scheduled to start on April 16th. If I move it earlier, earlier 1 day, I can make it start April 15th, April 11th. I can move it later by a day or by 5 days. I can also resolve lateness, which is something we'll talk about a little later. The second way to adjust a task is simply to right-click on the task from the schedule view. If I right-click, you'll see I get all the same options that I just got in the specific task page, and I can do it from here. And this is probably the way you'll do it most of the time. Creating new tasks. There'll be plenty of times during a production where you're going to want to insert a new task into your schedule that wasn't there to begin with. And to do that, it's actually very easy. All you'll do is to go to a task, right-click here. I'll go down to Insert New Task, and when I do that, you'll see that I've inserted a new task right here underneath the task that I started with, which was review art. So in this case, I want to add a task which says make changes to the art, make edits to the art based on the comments that were provided in the previous task. I'll give it a 2-day length. I'll add a fudge day here for fun. And I'll put a fee here for the illustrator to actually make those edits. I'll also go down and make sure that the to-dos are correct. I want him to make edits to the art. I also want him to make sure he submits the new files when he's finished. And the last thing I'll do, I don't need to add files to this task because they will flow from the previous task. And now I just want to assign it. We'll give that to Jim. And Jim will get that. And if I look back at my schedule here, I'll see that that new task has been added right here after review art, which is where I wanted it. Last thing I want to do here is go to our graph view and make sure this new task works in the flow. And in this case, it works perfectly. I wanted the review art task to lead into the make edits to art, and that to lead into the compose pages, and all the files to flow accordingly. So that worked out for me. I've inserted a new task. Splitting tasks. Splitting tasks is another way to adjust your schedule during the middle of a production. When I split a task, I'm telling the system to create a new task that will happen at the same time as an already existing task. The best way to show this is from the graph view of the schedule. So to split a task, you'll simply right-click on a task and select Split. And as you can see, the system has created this new task right next to the Make Edits to Art task. So if I go ahead and create this new task, I want this to be a tag artwork task. So once the art is finished, it's going to go to someone who's going to tag it. So go ahead and create this task real quick. And we'll assign it out to Steve. There you go, assigned to Steve. Steve will get his email. So now if we go back and look at our schedule in the graph view, we can see that this new task is going to be created, the tag artwork task, and it's going to happen at the same time as make edits art. Now, I don't need this to flow to the compose pages, so I'll remove the link from tag artwork to compose pages, and there you go. I've just split a task and fit it into my schedule nicely. Moving tasks. Moving tasks during a production is actually very easy to do in the Appingo system. What's important is to understand the ramifications of moving a task. So to show this, we'll go back to our schedule that has some lates in it. If this first task is late, it was scheduled to start on the 6th, as you can see. Today is the 7th, so the task is late. And because this task is late, it's making all the subsequent tasks in danger of being late. So they are colored orange. So the thing I want you to notice here is if we go down the bottom of our schedule, we'll see that we're scheduled right now to ship to the printer on the 3rd of July. So I'm going to show you what happens if we scroll up here and we right-click on the task and we say move later by 1 day. So that's going to move our task later by 1 day. So as you can see here, the system is saying this task is scheduled to start on the 7th, which is today. So it's blue. It's on time. If it starts today, it's on time. So that means all the subsequent tasks are also, right now, on time. But if we scroll down the bottom here, we'll see that our ship date has moved from the 3rd to the 6th. So that's really what you need to know about moving tasks and how it works in a Appingo schedule. Growing and shrinking tasks. When you grow and shrink a task in the Appingo system, you're giving a specific task either more or less time to be completed. So to illustrate that, if we go ahead and right-click on this top task here and we grow it by 1 day, you'll see that instead of getting 1 day to be completed, we're giving it 2 days to be completed. The important thing to note is that this flows through the entire schedule. So now our ship date is moved from the 3rd to the 6th of July. Now, if I wanted to get that ship date back to the 3rd, I can take a day away or shrink another task by a day, and if you'll notice, the ship date is back to the 3rd. Resolving lateness. The Appingo system has an automated suggestion engine in it to help you resolve any lateness or the lateness of any specific task. And to use that engine, you just go to your late task. In this case, it's the first task of our schedule. Right-click and go to Resolve Lateness. And by Resolve Lateness, we'll go to this page here, which tells you the task is not started. It's missed the start date by a day, and that's why it's late. And its suggestion is moving this task by 1 day will resolve the lateness. So if I choose to do that, we highly recommend that you add a schedule issue here. So this is a note that you can add to the schedule which explains why this task was late. And in this case, the author had not submitted the pages yet. And then I'll go ahead and I click Resolve Lateness. And if you'll notice, it goes back to my schedule. It has moved that task by a day, making it on time and on schedule again, and making all the subsequent tasks, again, on schedule. Copying schedules. The ability to copy schedules in the Appingo system is one of its most important features. What this means is if you have a schedule you like, you won't have to recreate it every time you want to use it. So to copy a schedule, we'll go to our project here and we'll look at our Red Sox series and our History Part 1 schedule. And in this case, we're going to want to create a new schedule because we've got History Part 2 coming up. So if we like this schedule and if we look at the graph here and we like the way that this schedule flows, and the next book in this series is going to flow exactly the same way, we'll go ahead and go to Options up here and just click on Copy. And that copies that schedule. We can give the schedule a new name. So in this case, we'll call it History Part 2. We can put this in any specific project. In this case, we want it in the Red Sox series. And we'll go ahead and copy schedule. And here you go. It has recreated that schedule exactly. All we have to do now is give it a date, a start date. So we'll give this a start date on the 25th. We'll set the schedule dates, and there you have it. We've got a project created, and if we go and look at the flow of the project, you'll see it's exactly the same flow as the schedule we had before. So now I didn't have to go and recreate this whole schedule again. I just simply copied it, and I'm off and running. We hope this video on adjusting your schedules was helpful, and we hope it helps you run great projects.